Because of this, people married for love, and families were built on happiness and choice. Among the men in the village was a man called David. He was charming, confident, and never afraid of anything. Life had not always been easy for him, but he overcame every challenge.
In a village near Port Harcourt, people lived happily and freely. Unlike other places where men had to pay a bride price and follow long traditions before marrying, here, marriage was a personal choice. A man could marry any woman he loved without asking her family for permission. Because of this, people married for love, and families were built on happiness and choice. Among the men in the village was a man called David. He was charming, confident, and never afraid of anything. Life had not always been easy for him, but he overcame every challenge. Over the years, David had married 17 wives, adding a new wife every year. Each wife brought something special to his home. But his 18th wife, Maggie, would change his life in a way he never imagined. Maggie was the most beautiful woman David had ever seen. Her smile shone like the morning sun, and her laughter sounded like sweet music. When she walked, it was as if the air around her danced in excitement. Many men in the village wished they could marry her, but David was not a man to waste time. The first day he saw Maggie, she was standing under a big mango tree, laughing with some children. David felt something strong in his heart. He knew he had to marry her. He walked up to her with confidence. "You are the most beautiful woman I have ever seen," he said. "I feel like I should marry you today." Maggie laughed, her eyes shining with mischief. "And what makes you think I will say yes so quickly?" she asked. David smiled and said, "Because I will do everything to make you happy. I can already see our future together. Your laughter will fill my home, and your smile will brighten my days." Maggie found David interesting. He was bold and honest. They talked for a long time, sharing stories and dreams. As the sun started setting, David brought out some gifts, a beautiful dress, a golden necklace, and a stylish bag. "These are for you," he said. "I want you to know how much I care about you." Maggie smiled and said, "You are thoughtful, David, but if you truly want my heart, I must give you something in return." Before David could respond, something unbelievable happened. A shiny, luxurious car appeared out of nowhere and stopped right in front of them. David's eyes widened in shock. "Where did this car come from?" he asked. Maggie smiled mysteriously and said, "This is my gift to you, my dear. A gift for the man who has touched my heart." David could not believe what was happening. The car was the most beautiful thing he had ever seen. It looked brand new, shining under the evening sun. Though he did not understand how it got there, he accepted it happily. "You are full of surprises, Maggie," he said. "You have already made me the happiest man alive." On the day of their wedding, the entire village was filled with excitement. Maggie wore a beautiful white gown that made her look like a queen. Every man who saw her wished they could be in David's place. The women admired her beauty and grace. "You look like a queen," David whispered as they stood together. "And today, I am the luckiest man in the world." Maggie smiled and replied, "And you, David, are my king. I will spend my life making you proud." After the wedding, David and Maggie decided to use the mysterious car to travel back home. The journey was supposed to take only 1 hour, but something strange happened. The car started and stopped on its own, taking them on a long ride that lasted the whole day. But David and Maggie were not worried. Instead of being upset, they laughed and enjoyed each other's company. "This car is like our journey together," Maggie said. "It might take unexpected turns, but as long as we are together, the destination will always be worth it." David smiled and said, "With you by my side, every journey feels like an adventure. You are my greatest blessing." When they finally arrived, the car looked brand new again, as if someone had just washed and polished it. The villagers, who had been waiting, were amazed. Days turned into weeks, and David began to notice that Maggie was not an ordinary woman. Strange things happened around her. Whenever she went to fetch water, she returned in seconds instead of hours. One day, David mentioned that he was thirsty, and instead of getting up to fetch water, Maggie stretched her arm across the room and picked up the cup without moving from her spot. David blinked. "How did you do that?" he asked, his voice shaky. Maggie just smiled and handed him the cup. "You needed water, so I got it for you, my love," she said. David tried to ignore his fears, but the more he watched Maggie, the more he realized something was not normal. One day, he left her in the bedroom and walked into the sitting room, only to find her already there, sitting and waiting for him. His heart pounded. "Are there two of you?" he asked, half joking. Maggie laughed. "Don't be silly, David," she said. "I am always with you." Though he loved her, David started feeling afraid. One evening, David returned home earlier than expected. As he walked towards the house, he noticed something strange through the window. A long snake-like object stretched from the bedroom into the sitting room, carrying a cup of water. His heart pounded, but as he looked closely, he realized it was not a snake, it was Maggie's arm, stretched impossibly long, carrying the cup with ease. David froze. His body became weak, and for the first time, he questioned if Maggie was even human. That night, David could not sleep. His mind was filled with questions. He loved Maggie, but was she really a woman? The next morning, he told his eldest wife about everything he had seen. She listened and then said, "David, you married Maggie because of her beauty, but you did not take time to know who she really is. Sometimes, what we see on the outside is not the same as what is inside." David felt a deep sadness in his heart. Had he made a mistake? Had he ignored the wisdom of his elders? Maybe if he had followed tradition and allowed his parents to help him choose a wife, he would have seen what he could not see now. That day, David gathered courage and asked Maggie the question that had been burning in his heart. "Maggie, who are you?" Maggie's smile disappeared for a moment. Then she said, "David, I came into your life to bring blessings, but I see now that my presence has brought you fear instead. Maybe it is time for me to leave." Before David could speak, Maggie disappeared, leaving behind only the memory of her beautiful smile. David never saw Maggie again, but he learned an important lesson. He became a wiser man, teaching young men in the village that true beauty is found in a person's character, not just their appearance. He told them, "Take your time to know someone before you marry them. Do not rush into love because of beauty. And always trust the wisdom of your parents and elders." His story became a lesson for the village, reminding everyone that true love is built on trust, understanding, and wisdom, not just on looks. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe for more videos.